You know, when I told you guys that Bola Tinubu and co are planning to disrupt the October 20th protest that Sowore and Atiku Abubakar and co are planning, many people doubted it. But now look at this particular news. You can see these are the people that have been recruited. They are now protesting, saying that the federal government should not release Nnamdi Kanu. They haven't been this kind of protest before, but look at them coming out in mass because, like I said, since Sowore has actually announced it, definitely the government must actually plan a counter protest. This has been the methodology of Wike, Bola Tinubu and co. Whenever you say you want to protest, even when you want to protest against end bad governance protests in Nigeria, the federal government went and recruited their own, saying that the government of the day is good, is working, and they recruited people to counter the protest. Now, so you think that they will not do the same to this Nnamdi Kanu's case? You can see it already. That day of October 20th, you will see people being mobilized because one, there is money in Nigeria, so they will use the federal government money to mobilize people from across the country to come and disrupt and even hijack that particular protest. That is why most times, even though I'm in support of that particular protest, but I'm always skeptical about protests that have been announced in a country, because whenever you announce a protest and give it a date, the federal government will actually make every plans to actually hijack that particular protest. But look at what's actually happened. They're already planning to hijack the protest on the 20th of October. But nevertheless, Sowore, he's a very stubborn person. I love his spirit, and he's not the kind of person that withdraws from things or probably that can be intimidated. He knows the antics of the federal government, so he knows that there are going to be thugs that will be recruited to counter his protest. So he's preparing ahead. That is why he started his mobilization earlier. If you watch me, he's moving from markets to places to event areas to tell them that on the 20th everybody should come out to march to Aso Rock to demand for the unconditional release of this particular man. But apart from that, we have other things in store for you, which I'm going to play a video of what Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer said today. Remember, there was a court session that actually happened to Justice James Omotosho. This is something that was quite shocking, where he told Nnamdi Kanu that Nnamdi Kanu is fit and healthy to stand trial. That he said that the DSS medical facility is more than enough to protect and probably solve Nnamdi Kanu's medical health problems. So for that reason, Nnamdi Kanu should continue his trial and be attending or probably getting his medication or medical treatment from the DSS facility and all that, from the DSS medical facility and all that. So let me play a brief video of what Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer said today, briefly on what transpired in court. And remember, Justice James Omotosho told them that they are going to present their defense, that they're going to open up their defense on the 23rd of this particular month, being October, and end it on the 30th, being 7 days. That is, they have 7 days, 1 week to actually open up their defense and close it immediately. Meanwhile, if this is your first time I'm coming across my video, before I play the video of Nnamdi Kanu's lawyers, please do get to subscribe. It will cost you nothing. I've often said it here. Just tap on the subscribe button, please, because so that this coming weeks is going to be a very tense week for the case of Nnamdi Kanu, and we need to be updating you guys. So do it to subscribe and tap on the like button, like this particular video, and click on the notification bell, so immediately I drop videos like this, you can watch and be updated on what's actually going on. Let me play the video of Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer and what they said, the briefing they gave after the court session today.
Association to submit since 26th September. So that medical report that we were serving is dated 10th October, and it was today that we were serving open court with it. So when you can say that the defense had no ample opportunity to react to it, it was more an ambush. But nonetheless, the court had ordered for that Nnamdi Kanu be examined by the Nigerian Medical Association. That examination was never carried out, and the order was entered on 26th September and restated on 8th October. That part of the order was disobeyed. They never examined him. So the report is based on some informal meeting they held with Nnamdi Kanu as far back as 18th September at the DSS headquarters in Abuja. They were invited to do that by the DSS. The court and the DSS are not the same. So what we have in court, or what we were served in court today, quite frankly, we cannot be sure where it emanated from. Did it emanate from assumption, or did it emanate from the examination carried out on 18th September before the court entered an order on 26th September. So we were quite surprised from us, and we felt a bit disadvantaged, but the proceedings had to continue at pace as the court wanted it. So at the end of the day, the court made a conclusion and a ruling that Nnamdi Kanu must enter his defense from the 24th of October and conclude his defense by the 30th of October. So basically it's a 6-day trial window that we're looking at there.
So how fit is the defense now? How fit is the defense counsel, defense team particularly, entering the defense? How ready are you guys?
Well, you see, lawyers are trained to be ready for any eventuality. But the justice of the matter is another case altogether. I choose not to comment on that.
So wait, we have to comment. So I'm one of the members of the legal team. This is a public document brought in by the medical council through the prosecution. So they serve us this thing today. And if you watch there, in this particular medical report, you can see all the ailments they say that Nnamdi Kanu is suffering from. And surprisingly, somebody that has all these particular issues, you now, the last paragraph, to say that from their own distance, they can stand trial. Somebody that is passing through all this ailments. Having said that, too, go to make a consequential order. Say, please, go and examine him and report back to me. They never examine Nnamdi Kanu, only for them to come up with this report. Nigerian Medical Council, they should be very careful, because this is a professional body and they are expected to act professionally. In your report, you are expected, I'm not a medical doctor, but I'm a practicing lawyer, you are expected to show that on this particular day you obtained his specimen. We carried out this lab and the lab showed this. We are talking about somebody's life, for goodness sake. You cannot just enter into your office room and you open your system and start writing trash, and you want God to rely on it. And surprisingly, we are expected to take a date for us to go. And because when the court gave us,
so you could see or you could hear what Nnamdi Kanu's lawyers are saying. You know, everybody knows that the federal government is playing games. Everybody knows that the federal government is playing games. But the irony of this, or the sad part of this, is that you are playing games with somebody's life, which makes no sense. You are playing games with somebody's health. I've often said it here, that the right to somebody's health is his fundamental right. And when somebody says, it's like you going to a hospital and say, I no longer trust, or I'm no longer confident. I no longer have the confidence in this doctor to treat me. You have every right to say, change the doctor for me, or change this particular hospital. I'm not comfortable in this hospital. I suspect they are not giving me the best. They can change it. It is your fundamental right, because it is your core. But in Nigeria here, you know, they want Nnamdi Kanu to continue getting his treatment for the medical facility of the DSS, which Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer said that it is not enough, that they've told the federal government, they submitted the address and every other thing, even the doctors that will treat Nnamdi Kanu at a private clinic there in Abuja, that they can equally monitor him or provide security around that particular vicinity and go. But the Justice James Omotosho declined that request, saying that the medical facility of the DSS is okay for Nnamdi Kanu, which does not really make sense to anybody. Meanwhile, that is what part of the things that Nnamdi Kanu's lawyers we are actually analyzing there. I have another video for you guys. This is a Fulani man, and he has always spoken for the freedom and the release of Nnamdi Kanu. Of course, you might actually know him, or probably might have actually seen him in this particular channel. I'm not going to waste your time. Let me briefly play the video where he was analyzing and saying that the VDM's back and forth with B-Lord is a distraction from this 20th of October protest that Sowore was actually planning. So he's saying that Nnamdi Kanu, that the VDM and B-Lord are actually distracting people from the protest, that they are sponsored by the government to take the minds of the people, or probably youth, arts from, you know, participating in that particular protest, that they should, as a matter of fact, only they just want to distract the youth and, you know, digress and, you know, shift the attention from participating in that particular protest. So let me play the video briefly. When we come back, we'll try to analyze and, you know, wrap up more.
My opinion, as far as I'm concerned, all these things you are doing with B-Lord in China and the rest of it, as far as I'm concerned, is nonsense. What is the essence in what is the essence of going to China in the first place? Is it not to do business, or is it another activism again? You don't know, a lot of people say, but let's face it, do your business, make people ease of business, and come back quietly and face the reality of the nation, which is the nation who is bedeviled with a lot of, we're not saying it's only you, but let's face it, you got to the limelight on this premise, right? So it also boils down on you to uphold this premise and make sure that the people that believes in you and support you in this regard are not disappointed. But what is the point? What is the point of all these things? Sowore has just initiated something now, which is the fight for justice, and of which you came out to say it's a good one. So do more in that regard, and a lot of other things that needs to be done. But the fact is, just like Nigerians were very gullible, it's always when we talk about name shaming or calling another person's out for banter, that is what becomes interesting. And that is why even the China story could not fly if B-Lord is not introduced. And that is the end game here. So sincerely, people that loves you will criticize you and tell you the fact that you are deviating. Though the fact is, you tend to say you are not an activist, you are not a whatever, but that is the premise under which you go to limelight. And that is what people hold you to a very high esteem in that regard. So
again, in one of another report, Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer said that no blood sample was taken from Nnamdi Kanu I'm going to talk about this, but if you listen to what that Fulani guy said, he basically made a lot of sense, because at what point is it even necessary for you to start discussing about a changed iPhone? I don't even understand. Nigerians and their classism, majorly in the minor. Oyibos are busy entering the factory, producing the iPhone 17 and all that. Nigerians are busy, bragging on who has bought the new iPhone. It's not like they are going to add any technology to it. Some of them are busy bragging that they are going to convert SR to 17 just to feel among. That's the level of classism we are talking about in the country. So this guy, that guy was saying that this is bullshit, and it's just basically a distraction to the real cause, especially to the October 20th protests that were happening in Abuja. Well, I still believe what he said, because sometimes if you look at all these things from a very deep sense, you would understand what's actually happening and why this particular controversy is coming up right now. It's a medical report that no blood sample was taken from Nnamdi Kanu. This is what his lawyer said. Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer said that the Nigerian Medical Association did not consult what I call in medical term a full blood count or blood test, where you analyze everything, that they only took sample of his urine and all that, which does not really make sense, because if you want to examine somebody fully, you must take both his urine, even his physics, and his blood to determine and actually say what is exactly wrong with that particular person, because one of those specimens might not be enough for you to understand what is actually going on in a person's internal and body organ and all that. And this goes a long way to tell you that this particular case has turned into something else. This particular case, I can boldly beat my chest and tell you that it has turned into a persecution other than a prosecution. It is now a persecution, because when someone is being denied right to actually seek for medical attention where he desires or where he feels comfortable, it means you are depriving a person of his fundamental right. And this is not the first time the Nigerian government, it's not the first time that the Nigerian federal government has been violating Nnamdi Kanu's fundamental right. Remember that his extraordinary rendition from Kenya violated his fundamental right, which the Kenyan court ruled that the Kenyan government, and in collaboration with the Nigerian government, violated his fundamental right, and for that reason that they should pay a certain amount of compensation to Nnamdi Kanu, about 120 million naira and co. So it is not the first time, and they kept on violating this person's fundamental right. The right to health is somebody's right to life, and you have a right to life. You have a right to live. And remember, you can only try a living being. You can't try someone that is dead. This is what Nnamdi Kanu's lawyers have been saying to the federal government, that allow this particular man to seek proper medical care where he so desires, where he feels comfortable, and not where he feels threatened, or probably where he feels skeptical about the treatment that is the treatment that is being given or a method upon him.